Good morning. If I could have your attention, if you could find your seats. Once again, ladies and gentlemen, if you could find your seats, we'll begin our President's Hall of Fame breakfast. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to a great part of Arch Madness, and that is our President's Hall of Fame breakfast. We have a very profound and interesting and wonderful class to induct today. This is a special tournament. This is the first time in the history of the Valley, and I'll talk about that very shortly, that we have three 22-win teams in the same field. We have a great quarterfinal lineup today lined up here next door at Scott Trade Center. We also have an incredible group of student athletes. A lot of you were there yesterday as we put up the Mount Rushmore, in many ways, the greatest senior class together in Valley history, because they have kind of tied from the past. Some of the greatest players ever to play in college basketball came from this league. And those numbers are being either matched or been close to matched by the group of seniors that will play in this tournament over the next 3 days. Anyway, it's awesome to have you here. And what we'd like to do is, just as a matter of logistics, the Peabody Opera House staff will dismiss your tables to go through the buffet line. That's how we'll do this. But I also think to start this morning, this is a league. It's a very interesting, wonderful league that celebrates life in many ways, and I'll get to that in a second. But when you celebrate life, you also deal with all that life gives you, and sometimes you deal with tragedy. We're closing in on the one-year anniversary, and we've dealt with tragedy in this league. There's a new documentary out on the University of Evansville Purple Aces 1977 team that is very profound. We also remember the 1970 Wichita State football team. But we're closing in on the one-year anniversary of the loss of 7 wonderful people that were part of Illinois State University. So I think it would just be appropriate this morning to take just a moment of time to have a moment of silence to remember those 7. Thank you. Please enjoy each other's company. Enjoy the breakfast, and we will start our formal program at we want to be at 8:40 sharp because we have to stay on time because this is a big-time day with our quarterfinals. So enjoy your breakfast. Ladies and gentlemen, I spend a good time in the NFL, so this is a 2-minute warning in case you want to do whatever you need to do, but we'll start our program in just a couple minutes. If I could have your attention. If I could have your attention, we'll begin our formal program and our 2016 Missouri Valley Conference President's Hall of Fame breakfast. You know, the Valley is well into its second 100 years of history, celebrating its centennial in the 06-07 academic year. Only the Big Ten is a conference that's been around longer, and it was established in 1896. In 109 years, the Missouri Valley Conference has been home to 33 universities and have won national championships, have had incredible student athletes and coaches, and taken part in athletic competition. Its history is outstanding. It goes all the way back to the founder of basketball, Dr. James Naismith, was one of the founding members of the Valley. But this league has been very interesting. This class, I think, the 2016 Hall of Fame class, epitomizes what is important in this league, and I think it's a very interesting time, of course, across the landscape of college athletics. And for the Missouri Valley Conference, when you consider there's two things. One, a league that has been a pioneer with diversity and inclusion. We have members here and first of all, we got a lot of new folks here. We have new athletic directors. We have new deputy administrators. We have almost half of the 10 CEOs of the universities are new. But this is a league where Drake gave the opportunity to Johnny Bright, an African-American running back who could and probably should have won the Heisman Trophy. And if you study the Johnny Bright incident, you know what that was like in the early 50s. But Drake and the Valley gave Johnny Bright that opportunity. Wichita State, Cleo Littleton was one of the first African-American impact basketball players in college basketball history. Will Robinson at Illinois State was the first Division I African-American head basketball coach. Wichita State and the Valley opened the door for Willie Jeffries, who was the first Division I African-American men's football coach. And I love the movie Glory Road, and Stephen Bardo's here. We were at UTEP. The Texas Western Miners is a great story. But honestly, aren't you waiting for the real movie to come out about the 1963 Loyola University of Chicago Ramblers? Because that is an amazing story. And I love going to Gentile Arena and seeing the picture of Joe Don Gold of Mississippi State, who snuck out at night so they could play Loyola, shaking hands with a man who will be inducted in our class today at midcourt. It is one of the most fantastic photos that changed our culture for all time. But that's only part of the story, because Jerry was there when Joe Don Gold passed away and was there to hug his family. That's what this league is about. Not only that, but the inclusive nature of this league throughout its history. Really a pioneer in women's athletics. Somewhere around here, Angie Minzer-Lansing's running around. She was a terrific Hall of Fame athlete in track and cross country at Indiana State. And long before she crossed the finish line, Indiana State had opened up the opportunity for women track and cross country athletes before many schools even thought that possible. Evansville, we have an inductee today. Their women's soccer program. Missouri State proved that women's basketball wasn't something just to meet a Title IX requirement. It was to sell out an arena and have the National Player of the Year in Jackie Stiles and a Final Four in this city hosted by the Valley with one of its great women's basketball players, because the Valley was willing to open the door long before other leagues were able to do so. So with new administrators, new fans, new people on the campuses here, study what this league is about, because it's different than most leagues. It has a history to preserve, it has a present, and the present time is to persevere, quite honestly, and a future to protect. And you will see that manifested in this Hall of Fame class. I do want to introduce, though, the people who are the stewards of that protection. And they are our administrators, our CEOs on our campuses. I'm going to take just a moment to introduce the members of the Valley President's Council who are here with us this morning. And if you could please stand when your name is called, but please, everyone, hold your applause until all of the folks are introduced. From Drake University, please welcome Earl Marty Martin. From the University of Evansville, Dr. Tom Kazee and his wife Sharon. From Illinois State University, Dr. Larry Dietz and his wife Marlene. From Indiana State University, Dr. Dan Bradley and his wife Cherie. Representing Loyola University Chicago, Interim President, Dr. John Pellicero. From Missouri State University, President Cliff Smart and his wife Gail. Representing the University of Northern Iowa, Dr. Bill Rood. From Southern Illinois University's Chancellor Brad Caldwell and his wife Mary. And also from the Southern Illinois System, President Randy Dunn. We'd like to thank each of our institutional CEOs for their strong commitment to college athletics and their protection of the past, their perseverance in the present, and the protection of the future. This is a fabulous facility. It's on the National Register of Historic Places. And we have a lot of people that make sure that this day is special for our inductees, their families, and also a time to celebrate the league. I want to mention folks now that have made this morning possible. Stephanie Sadler and Adrian Silverstein, here of the historic Peabody Opera House staff, and Chris Fromm of Scott Trade Center have once again worked very hard to prepare the meal today and the setup here at Peabody Opera House. Valley staffer Carla Feit, responsible for the planning and execution of this morning's event, been in communication with a lot of you inductees and your families and supporters. Associate Commissioner Jack R. Watkins, who is the definition of multitasking, and Assistant Commissioner Kelly Briscoe, the chair of the Valley Hall of Fame Committee. Not an easy job. She and they have all provided guidance in the selection of the inductees. And finally, a special thanks to Jim Trotter, the St. Louis-based photographer-artist who has produced the stunning fame portraits that you will see later today that will be presented to the inductees into the schools. Jim and his son, Jim Jr., are also with us today. Would you please acknowledge these people and all of the efforts that they have put together to make this happen? Yesterday, when we had our Coach of the Year luncheon, and we honored our first team and all of our specialty award winners this year and a great year of men's basketball in the Valley, it was interesting because up on the dais were ESPN, CBS, and Fox. The work that has been done to try to protect the history of this league, but to move it into the future, has had a leader in this league for almost 3 decades. But he treats every day like it's his first day because his ingenuity, his effort, his creativity has been outstanding. And it's not only in the Valley, but what people need to understand is how much swag Doug has nationally. I'm amazed when people bring up Doug Elgin's name as I go across the country. Somewhere in the brain of Doug Elgin is a USB port because I always want to put in a thumb drive to try to get whatever is in there, because you can have 4 conversations with Doug at one time. I'll still be on conversation 2. He's moved on to 4. But it's his effort, his ingenuity, his creativity that fits the preserving the history, protecting the future, but also persevering in the present. Ladies and gentlemen, in his 28th year as Commissioner of the Missouri Valley Conference, J. Douglas Doug Elgin.
How to react to that, but thank you, Mitch. Welcome, everybody. On behalf of our MVC President's Council, I want to extend a warm welcome to our Hall of Fame honorees, to their families and friends who are here for this very special ceremony. The Hall of Fame festivities have always been a focal point of our tournament weekend. I can tell you this feel-good affair is my favorite of the year on the Missouri Valley calendar. And each year it provides us the opportunity to respect and honor the history and tradition of this league. When we started the Hall of Fame 20 years ago, we had 90 years of history to catch up on. And we began to induct men and women who had been participants or administrators at more than 30 member institutions. We're still not caught up. We still have an awful lot of great athletes and administrators out in the former membership who have not been honored yet. And I do want to take a moment to thank our Hall of Fame committee for the work that they do. These are mostly university athletic department employees or department insiders. They are naturally advocates for their institutional nominees, but year after year they are unselfish, and they always seem to arrive at the appropriate slate of inductees every year. It's an especially meaningful Hall of Fame ceremony for me and our staff, in that we see a long-serving colleague and friend who is going to be inducted today, a man whose name is synonymous with Southern Illinois University. Dr. Harold Bardot was an outstanding basketball student athlete at Southern Illinois. He earned 3 degrees from his alma mater, and he has served his institution in so many ways over his lifetime. He has been a mentor and a friend to so many colleagues, students and student athletes, and I think he's one of the most admired and respected men we've had in our league over time. I do also want to make mention of Loyola University's first inductee into the Missouri Valley Hall of Fame. Jerry Harkness was a 2-time basketball All-American at Loyola Chicago, who led the Ramblers to the 1963 NCAA championship. We are very honored to have him here to be recognized today. Congratulations to all the members of the class of 2016, and thank you for your attendance today.
Our first honoree has enjoyed success as both a student athlete and a coach, making a name for himself that is synonymous with Evansville soccer. A native of Lincolnshire, England, Mick Lyon became the first women's soccer coach in Evansville history and had unprecedented success in his Purple Aces career. In 9 years at the helm, Lyon won 9 Missouri Valley Conference championships, including 4 regular season and 5 tournament titles. In his 6 seasons in the Valley, Lions teams dominated the league, an impressive 28 3-3 mark in conference play, never losing more than 1 Valley match in a single season. Before Lyon's coaching career at UE, he was an All-American for the Purple Aces men's soccer team in the mid-'80s, leading Evansville to the Final Four in 1985. And as Randall Parmalee of WEHT Television relates, Mick dedicated his life to soccer, impacting the lives of all with whom he made contact, and continue to inspire others every day.
If there were a Mount Rushmore for soccer at the University of Evansville, Mick Lyon would be front and center. Lyon played for the Aces program for 3 seasons, earning All-American honors.
He was a guy who fit in with the way we wanted to play, and we had always had a number of British players, and he was probably among the best, if not the best, of that lot.
But that's just the beginning of Lyon's influence on the Evansville soccer history. Lyon made his greatest contribution as the Evansville women's soccer head coach. He was the first coach in the program's history, and in his 9 years leading the program, he dominated the Missouri Valley Conference.
He's definitely one of only 2 coaches in the Missouri Valley since I've been a part of it that has had such a streak of dominance in the conference. And I think that's something that speaks a lot about him and what he was able to do in his time, at UE.
He was extremely demanding. I think, he would basically let you know if you did something wrong right away. But we all respect him so much that we never took it to heart. We just, every player that played for him would do anything for him.
Lyon's teams won 4 MVC regular season championships and 5 MVC tournament championships. He was also named the Missouri Valley Conference Coach of the Year 4 times. Lyon brought out the best in his players.
He's somebody that demands a lot out of you and wants you to give your best, but at the same time, it was something that none of the players that played for him that we still talk about today would ever have had it any other way. We knew that he was going to push us, but we also knew that what he was asking us to do was something that we were capable of doing.
He had a good rapport with players, and players wanted to play for him. You have to train players to make decisions, and he was very good at that.
And for those that know him best, they say induction into the Hall of Fame is well deserved.
He's somebody that, is definitely truly deserving and for all of his hard work and his commitment at sometimes the sacrifice of his own self or his family time, to not only the game in general, but to our lives is something that all of us are truly grateful and appreciative of everything that he's done for us.
I think it's definitely overdue. I think he's, the best soccer coach that's come through the MVC on the women's side, and I'm just so excited that I got to be a little part of his career.
Mick could not be with us this morning. To accept on his behalf, though, is the current Evansville women's soccer coach and former UE player, Krista McHenry.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for allowing me to be able to stand up here and read Coach Lyon's words back to you. Obviously, he is very honored and humbled to be able to receive this award with all of you fine people that are also getting inducted today, but he is definitely very sad that he cannot be with you. So I'll try to do his words justice. Please know that my English accent is nowhere near what his would be, so just imagine a nice English man up here speaking instead of me. Who would have known back in 1996, when women's soccer was recognized as a sport in the Missouri Valley Conference, great collegiate programs would have developed so quickly, but they did. Thanks to the support and guidance of the MVC, the leadership of Patty Viverito specifically, the University of Evansville was able to achieve success right away and never look back. They say that Rome wasn't built in a day, yet it seems like the Lady Aces landed on the national landscape of women's soccer very quickly. And this could only be happening because of the efforts of a whole lot of people. There's Hall of Famer and former Evansville men's coach Fred Schmaltz. He took a chance on a lad from Boston, England, back in 1985 and brought me to the U.S. He taught me to be a better player, a better coach, and a better person. He started me on this journey, and I will always be very grateful. Both Fred and I were very fortunate to have enough of the very best colleagues around Evansville. Presidents Jim Vinson, Steve Jennings, Athletic Director Jim Byers, and for me, Senior Women's Administrator Sarah Selensky, Team Physician Andy Saltzman, Team Therapist Pat Wimpy, Athletic Trainers Terry Collins and Jeff Tilley. This list could go on and on. There were so many people doing their jobs so brilliantly that we could tend to our jobs in the business of coaching. And of course, none of this really matters without the real stars of the show, my players. Several of them are here this weekend. They are the real strength behind this award. They showed up every day, worked hard, and truly believed that we could beat every team on any given day, and more times than not, we did. Today, they were talented and accomplished women, and I'm proud of them all. I only mention one name because she needs love and support and prayers from all of us right now, Beth Sukas. She's a Purple Ace, which means she's got what it takes to fight and win, and she will. Thank you, Doug Elgin, to the entire Missouri Valley Conference. I am honored and humbled to be receiving this award. And lastly, thank you, Elizabeth. Being a Division I coach's wife is not easy, but you stuck with it and me for the long haul. You were always the Aces' biggest fan, bleeding purple, and you used to say every step of the way, you weren't on any roster, but you were a part of the team. Thank you, everyone.
Our next inductee is part of Missouri State University's kind of been a cradle of coaches in basketball down through the years on both the men's and women's side. They've had some of the most iconic coaches in league history. Charlie Spooner on the men's side, Cheryl Burnett on the women's side. And our next inductee really kind of got it all started, I think. A native of Buffalo, Missouri, Bill Thomas enters the Missouri Valley Conference Hall of Fame as an institutional great selection. He transferred to Missouri State in 1950. He led the Bears to the NAIA National Tournament in 52 and 53, emerging as the first team to win back-to-back national championships. He returned to Missouri State as an assistant coach in 1956, became the head coach in 1964, and over the next 16 seasons, Thomas directed the Bears to 8 MIAA basketball titles, more than any coach in league history. The Bears won or tied the conference championship 5 years in a row and finished second in the NCAA Division II tournament in 67, 69, and 74. As Valley Video correspondent Steve Wynn of Missouri State portrays, Coach Thomas truly embodies Missouri State's men's basketball history.
I met Coach in about I met him the first time in 1957 when I was a freshman here. But then later on, then we worked together, starting in earnest in 1961. So just from that point on, we've been together.
He was made for the MIAA. It was perfect for Bill Thomas because he played in it when he was in school. That bunch from 51 and 52 and 53, those guys have held together. Several of them have passed away now, but they had reunions at the 20-year mark, the 30-year mark, the 40-year mark, and the 50-year mark, and they would get together, and the stories were the same. They didn't have to embellish them because they were all true when they happened.
He was on a state championship team in high school. Then he came here to college, wins 2 NAIA national championship teams, and he was also a member of the Fabulous Four. In fact, scored most of the points for the Bears that held on against 5 Sycamores from Indiana State, beat them in that semifinal game, and then he coached 3 teams for the national title. So I'd say he ran the gauntlet pretty good.
Bill Thomas, in my opinion, represented the highest level of coaching that an individual in that profession could possibly achieve. Top level motivator, mostly great teacher, wonderful tactician, and an individual whose basketball IQ was at the very top of the charts.
And he understood the game, and he could convey it to kids.
Played for the national championships 3 different times, in 1967, 1969, and 1974. So he really had a taste of everything, and success followed him all the way through. And he's just been a dear friend here, but a dear friend to the university, to the people of the area. He's extremely well known, and again, his background speaks for itself on what all he was able to do in both his playing days and his coaching days. To know that his thumbprint is on the entire program because he's so well known.
The Bears and this school are part of his family.
And just an outstanding individual who should very much be recognized in the Missouri Valley. No, the Bears weren't in the league then, but used to play all those Valley teams, Southern Illinois and Illinois State, and used to do pretty well against them.
It's really looked at with great admiration and great thankfulness to our fans for the job he's done while he's been associated with Missouri State.
Ladies and gentlemen, Bill Thomas.
They gave me 5 minutes. I could talk a lot longer, and you would probably like to know what I would say. I first of all want to say to Doug and his committee how honored I am to be inducted into the Missouri Valley Hall of Fame. When they called to tell me that that happened to me, I said, "You've got the wrong number. I was never in the Missouri Valley." But evidently some of the things that we did, I don't know why, but anyway, I'm here. I don't have papers to look at. I'm going to tell you 2 little stories in my 5 minutes having to do with the Valley, and maybe you'll understand how honored I am to be standing up here today. Mr. Iba, Hank Iba, was one of my very good friends. Coach at Oklahoma A&M way back there, Oklahoma State now. Coach Iba was the coach of the American Olympic team for 2 different times. And
at Missouri State, after his last time as the Olympic coach, at Missouri State, we had a clinic in the summer for basketball and football. It was a very good one. And we asked Mr. Iba to come and head up the basketball part of the clinic. I'd never met him. He flew over. I sent my assistant to pick him up at the airport because I had to do something else that day with the clinic, and to take him to the motel. And as soon as I got through, I went to the motel and went into his room and met Mr. Iba, who was one of my heroes, for the first time. And we immediately became friends. We sat there for a little while, and he said, "You know, Bill, I'm opening up at UCLA in LA at Poly Pavilion next, or to open the season, this coming basketball season." And we got to play UCLA. Johnny Wooten had been winning probably 8 or 9 national championships in a row by that time. And he said 2 years ago, Coach Wooten put in a 2-2-1 full court zone press that nobody knew anything about. And it was really something. He'd keep teams from getting the ball over the 10-second line or stealing the ball from them before they could get down to their side and shoot setups, layups. It was really something. And Mr. Iba said, I know that he's going to do that to me, and I think I've got the answer to how I can keep him from beating us that way. But he said, I don't feel good about it. And I'd like to have a better way to get the ball down the court against the 2-2-1 full court zone press. Would you have any suggestions, Bill? And I said, as a matter of fact, Coach Iba, Coach Wooten is one of my friends, and I have started, as soon as he went to the 2-2-1 zone, full court zone press, I put it in for the Bears. And I've used it for the last year. And when I got up and threw basketball, on your offenses and your defenses, you needed to know the weaknesses and you needed to know the strengths of them. So I did. I knew the strengths of the 2-2-1 zone press that I'd used for a full year. I knew the weakness of it. And I told Mr. Iba that. And I said we were able to break it. And we were able to get the ball against it down the court and set up our offense. Whoa, he said. Wait just a minute. He picked up the phone in the room. He called the front desk. He said, do you boys up there have a blackboard that you run around and maybe take down to the rooms? Yes, sir, we do. Bring it. They brought the blackboard down, put it in that room. He said, now, Bill, show me. On the blackboard, set up the 2-2-1 press. Tell me how you break it. Tell me how you get through it. Tell me what the weaknesses is of it. And I did. That's one story. The end of that story is the first game that he played was UCLA in December, and I had our team down in Texas. We were playing on a Saturday night at who was it? I can't remember now. Trinity University. And we played them, and then we were flying up to Dallas and going to play the University of Ireland, just outside of Dallas, on a Monday. This was Saturday and Monday. We went up there on a Sunday, got in our motels, and we were going to play the Texas team the next day and then come home. My assistant and I went down to have breakfast Monday morning before the day of the game up there. and we were eating breakfast, and the guy comes over to me, and I haven't read the paper yet, and he says, "Coach Thomas, you've got a long-distance telephone call. Come with me, and I'll put you on the line." I did. I went with him, and it was like 9 o'clock in the morning. I answered the phone, and it was Mr. Iba. And Mr. Iba said, "Bill, I just wanted to call and tell you we lost the game at UCLA. But what you told me and what we did, we got that damn ball down that court every time when they set that 2-2-1 up against us, and they never stole it from us or kept us from getting over the 10-second line any time, and I wanted to thank you for it." That's what he told me. And from a guy like me in the coaching business, as young as I was, for have a man like him to do what he did was great and something. My last story, and I'll get off of here. Indiana State, they had a new arena. We were playing in that new arena the first year. Johnny Wooten had come from Indiana State to UCLA a couple of years before we went up there to play. We went up there to play them, and they had a complete full house. 10 or 12,000 people in their new arena. I can't remember how many was in there. But they were in there before, while we were all out there warming up before we played the game, they were there. And I'm thinking, good night. You don't tell me that they've come over here just to see us play them. And of course they hadn't. And then all of a sudden, I took our players back in, as you always do, and gave them the last instructions, and we went back out and getting ready to play. And all of a sudden, that whole place, everybody stood up and started clapping. And I found out why that crowd was there. Larry Bird had transferred from Indiana University to Indiana State. He had to lay out a year. When he transferred down there, I remember talking about him and hearing about him as one of the best high school players I'd ever seen. But he came out and sat on the bench with the Indiana State team, and that whole place was clapping for him. They didn't clapping for us at all. And he was one of the best, and is one of the best basketball players that ever played the game. So through my career, I've been very fortunate to know several very good coaches. In my playing career, I had many things happen to me that were very nice, and I appreciate everything that has happened to me. And I, for sure, Dave, appreciate being inducted into a wonderful, wonderful conference, Missouri Valley. I'm glad we're in it in one of these years. And by the way, I also brought Charlie Spoonhour into college. He was a high school coach. He wanted to come up and do his graduate assistance and be a graduate assistant for me. I brought him in, and I kept him for just a little while, but he got so good. I knew he was a great coach. He got so good that I couldn't keep him very long. I said, "Charlie, I'm going to put you're dragging your feet here. You need to go out on your own." And I said, "Where do you want to go?" And he said, "I want to go to Moberly Junior College, and I want to be their coach to start out with." I said, "Okay, good." The guy that was going to hire the new coach at Moberly Junior College, I went through graduate school with, and I know him real well, and I'll get you the job. And I did. I called him and got Charlie the job. And while Charlie was up there and doing things, he sent me two guys back to play for me that both of them made All-American. And I've had nothing but great times. Thank you very much.
Our next inductee was a true professional on and off the field. And life's full of mysteries, we know that, and it's a mystery why Dave Bergman was taken from us so soon. Probably also a mystery for those Blue Jay pitchers that tried to get him out when he had a 13-pitch at bat. One of the most famous walk-off home runs in Tiger history on June the 4th, 1984. But Dave enters this hall as a member of the Redbird baseball team in 1972 to 74. He was MVP on those two Redbird teams. He was an All-American outfielder in 74. Following his junior season at Illinois State, Bergman was drafted by the Yankees in the second round of the 1974 draft. He was a member of 4 major league teams in his 17-year professional career, but he spent most of his time with the Detroit Tigers. He was the starting first baseman on one of the most famous Tiger teams of all time, the 1984 World Champions that defeated the San Diego Padres to win the World Series. As Kurt Pegler of WMBD television reports, Dave Bergman helped change history at Illinois State University, putting the Redbirds on the map in Division I athletics.
Just how important is Dave Bergman to Illinois State athletics? He helped change the athletic department's history in the early 1970s.
He was part of that group that Illinois State was, it led us into becoming a member of the Missouri Valley Conference. It was Doug Collins, it was D.A. Wybring, it was Dave Bergman. It was that group of guys that brought Illinois State in the forefront of Division I athletics.
The Park Ridge, Illinois native was an All-American in 1974, the year he hit .351, the year he was drafted as a junior by the New York Yankees. He played for 4 teams in a 17-year big league career, winning the World Series with the 1984 Detroit Tigers. His Illinois State family remembers him as Bergie, the player who loved his Redbirds and stayed connected to his alma mater.
He gave his time, he gave his talent, he gave his resources. People loved Dave Bergman because he was invested in other people. Relationships were important to him.
He was a mentor to me on and off the field. He was very demanding at times. He taught me so much. And the experiences he had through professional baseball and through ISU really taught me quite a bit, helped me down the road these last, 15 years I've been playing.
That number is retired. He will always be a part of Illinois State baseball. We will make sure that future baseball players know who Dave Bergman was.
Again, we lost Dave way too soon, but his legacy lives on not only at Illinois State, but through his great family. And to accept his induction to the Hall of Fame, please welcome his son, Troy Bergman.
Thank you very much. As Mitch had stated, my name is Troy Bergman. I am Dave Bergman's son, and I'm here today to represent our family in accepting this great honor. Before I say a couple words about my father, I'd like to just start out by saying a couple quick thank yous. Thank you to everyone here at the Missouri Valley Conference, Doug Elgin, Carla Fight for getting us here, inviting us to be part of this special day. Really appreciate that. Our Illinois State family, there's a table here and a table in the middle. Thank you very much for all of your support. I know my dad very much valued his relationship with you guys, and your support since his passing has been much appreciated by our family. A couple old-timers in the middle over there, some of my dad's old friends and teammates have made the track today. Jeff Conrad, Larry Colbus, Ed Mansfield. It means a lot that you guys are here to support our family and honor my dad, so thanks for making the trip. Lastly, Jack and Jane Kotz, thank you so much for being here. Parents of another Illinois State baseball, great baseball player, Neil Kotz, so appreciate you guys being here and support as well. Okay. My mother and I are happy to be here today in honor of our father. We are very proud of my father's accomplishments at Illinois State and throughout his professional career playing in the major leagues. But the thing I am most proud of is the man that my father was off the field. He was a man of faith, honesty, loyalty, courage, and love, And if he was here, he would also tell you he was one heck of a fisherman. My dad was a pillar in our community growing up, and he was always willing to lend a hand to local coaches or young athletes and making sure to stress the importance of getting your education. Illinois State was a very important part of my dad's life. He met my mom there, and he made many lifelong friends that I have had the pleasure of meeting throughout the years. He was very proud to be a Redbird, and after he retired, he started a youth baseball organization named after his alma mater called the Grosse Pointe Redbirds. The Redbirds have been a premier summer baseball program for over 20 years in the Metro Detroit area. He got great joy at helping players from his teams earn scholarships and move on to playing college baseball. My father did learn of his Hall of Fame induction just shortly before he passed away a little over a year ago, and he expressed to our family how much it meant to him. Wish he could be here today to accept this award, but I know he is looking down on us and is grateful for this prestigious acknowledgement. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Troy. I know he's an inspiration to all of us who couldn't. I know he screwed up your sister's bookcase too, right? So, our next inductee I kind of alluded to in my beginning comments because I'm ready for the movie to be made. Sister Jean is here, is she not? Where is Sister Jean? 96 years young, representing the Loyola University Chicago Ramblers. Where is she? Anything you want to know about the Ramblers or anybody else in the field in the tournament, she's got it down. She was our special color analyst this year on our ESPN broadcast that we had at Loyola. But I am waiting for the movie to be done about the Ramblers. Maybe we'll have Stephen Bardo as he'll play Jerry Harkness in the role. A native of Harlem, New York, Jerry Harkness is also the first Loyola University Chicago honoree to be selected in the Missouri Valley Conference Hall of Fame. A two-time All-American, a three-time team MVP, Harkness was the captain and leading scorer of Loyola's 1963 National Championship team, averaging 22 points a game and 8 rebounds in his 3 seasons for the Ramblers. Harkness was the central figure in a team that in many ways might be the most historic team in the history of college basketball, the game of change. The team of change. When Loyola University Chicago played Mississippi State in the 1963 NCAA Regional, of course, it is a story that's been told many times, and it needs to be told into perpetuity. And his handshake with Joe Don Gold is a picture that I love to see outside Gentile Arena. But when I started to read more about the story and what Jerry and the rest of that Loyola team was like, and how they reached out to Joe Don Gold's family when he had passed away. Good dude and a great player. Second-round NBA draft pick of the Knicks in '63. Also played for the Indiana Pacers of the ABA in '67 to '69. With all of his athletic accomplishments, he embodies what makes the Missouri Valley great and why Loyola is a perfect fit in this league, Sister Jean. Because he not only left his mark as a hooper, he became the first African-American salesman for Quaker Oats, the first African-American fundraiser in Indianapolis for the United Way of Greater Indianapolis, and the first African-American sports anchor at WTHR Television in Indianapolis. Interesting today, our first game will be the Loyola University Ramblers against the Wichita State Shockers. Jerry will tell you now, in that great 1963 year, he'll have to admit to you they did lose a game at home that year to Wichita State. As Pat Schultz of the Loyola University Chicago explains, Jerry Harkness helped change forever the game of college basketball, and his contributions have continued to transcend all sports.
Jerry Harkness's legacy at Loyola University is both historic on and off the court. A Harlem, New York native, Harkness averaged 21.6 points and 8.2 rebounds per game during his 3 seasons on the varsity squad, helping the Ramblers to a 67-14 overall record and the 1963 NCAA championship. Harkness was also a 2-time All-American.
On the court, he was obviously an All-American. He was first-team All-American at the time. He was probably the best player that I had played with at that time, the best player I had ever been on the same team with.
On the court, he was the consummate leader of that team. He was just, he was always wanting to be inclusive of us, even the ones who didn't get to play much. Just a good person.
When he spoke to our team, and he told us a story of him shooting at a YMCA in Harlem, and the power of words of encouragement, and how he was shooting and really didn't play basketball, and someone said, hey, you should try out for the team. And that person was Jackie Robinson. And Jerry told us, our players, that story in terms of hard work, effort, words of encouragement, and how much that can mean. And Jerry is about developing the whole person, and when you see him and meet him, you know that.
Harkness was the team captain of the 1963 national championship team that helped forever change college basketball when it faced Mississippi State in the historic Game of Change. Harkness's handshake with Mississippi State's Joe Dan Gold is one of the most iconic images in college basketball history and helped change segregation in the South. The character and leadership of Harkness was second to none.
It's very difficult to look at a game today and not think about Jerry, not think about the other starting four on that team, what they meant to opening the game up, making it better for college students. The world then was totally different from the world that we know today.
His character and integrity is something that all the players on the team knew about, along with the coaching staff.
You know, we here at Loyola couldn't have a better ambassador for our university and for college basketball than Jerry Harkness. Obviously, being All-American on an NCAA national championship team means everything to our university. But the person he is and how he carries himself is what's more impressive when you meet Jerry Harkness.
Truly a person for others and leader on and off the court, Jerry Harkness can add one more distinction next to his name, Missouri Valley Conference Hall of Fame.
Sister Jean, I think this, when I see that portrait outside of Gentile Arena and Jerry shaking Joe Dan Gold's hand and then reading the story later of Jerry attending his funeral and hugging his family, I'm thinking that's the Lord's going, yep, that's what I'm talking about. A man's man and a rambler's rambler, Jerry Hawkins.
You know, this is not easy to say, but any of those guys that played with me could be up here. It was such an unbelievable team. And a lot of people say, well, that's the thing he would say, most guys would say. But I mean this. I mean this. And it's a beautiful feeling to have most of the team members that are still here right over there at my table. 50 years after winning the title, we were inducted into the Chicago Hall of Fame. We went in with a lot of Butkus and Ernie Banks and Santo. We were inducted. 50 years later, after winning the title, we were inducted into the NCAA College Basketball Hall of Fame, the very first team inducted in there. 50 years later, we were invited to the White House to meet with the President of the United States, Barack Obama. Right around 50 years, Tom Hager, a renowned author and well known around the NCAA Final Four, he took our game and said it was the best in college ball history. We were special. I didn't realize that until 50 years later, when you got to realize the things that we did. In 1962, we played in the Oklahoma City tournament, and it came to me. Jack Egan got in a little match with the official, and he was kicked out of the game. And I talked to Chuck, and I said, well, who came in? Oh, yeah, Pablo Robinson came in. It was the first time that 5 black players played in a game in the NCAA Division I title. We had Pablo Robinson and Billy Smith and a fellow by the name of Johnson. Johnson left, transferred. Pablo and Billy Smith, we lost to grades. So we had 9 guys. We used to get another guy, a trainer or something, to prepare us for the tournament. The first game of the NCAA tournament, I'll never forget, we were in the dorm and I got phone calls. I didn't understand why. You gotta win this. It was from civil rights workers and all that, and it's 1963, and I had an idea what was going on, but I'm on the north side of Chicago, and I didn't get embedded into it. And then I heard songs, We Shall Overcome, yelling. Then I heard Negro spirituals, all a part of that. And then we played at Northwestern against Tennessee Tech. That was the first game. And Jack Egan went into Tennessee Tech's locker room because he knew one of the players that had played with him at St. Rita's in Chicago. And he walked over to the guy, and the guy looked away from him. Jack said, how you doing? How you doing? I just came in to say hello. And the guy said, hello. He was nervous. Jack said, take a deep breath. It's going to be all over in a little while. That'll give you the character of Jack Egan. And with the motivation that the black ball players got in that game going into from the civil rights movement, and then he's doing that, and plus we played at Northwestern, which was about about a mile away from Loyola at the time. We went into the game, and I could see it on their face, how excited and how ready we were. We won, and this team had won their conference. It was only 25 teams that's really in the NCAA at the time. We won by 69 points. It's still the best record, the record of difference as far as the score is concerned. We were so excited and ready for it. We started practicing for our second game. Had no idea who we were going to play, so it was hard for us. And Mississippi State had won their conference. And we came, but we wasn't sure because the last couple of years and years before then, they never played against black ball players. Finally, they got the okay to play against us. But politics jumped in there, and they served an injunction to stop them from playing. Well, Mississippi State, as indicated, snuck out. When we think about what basketball can do, they snuck out. Here during that particular time, the Freedom Riders were getting killed going through Mississippi. Sherner, Cheney, Goodman were killed. And we're talking about the same, right at the same year. These guys snuck out to play us. And I'll never forget the handshake that they talk about. We shook hands, and there were so many bulbs going off, and we didn't realize what was going on. We shook hands. And I looked in his face, and I could tell that he was happy to be there. We had really started something. I, in my mind, said, This is more than a game. This is history. I mean, the bulbs were popping all over the place, and we didn't really understand what was going on. We went on to win the game 61-51. But let me tell you, that was a heck of a ball game. Well played, hard, endurable, and it didn't, the result, the final score didn't give a true indication of how close the game was. Now I want to just quickly jump to individuals that played a role that particular year. George Ireland, our coach. He had the guts to take a major step forward and leave everybody else behind by playing 5 black ball players. Loyola University of Chicago, for giving me a chance to come in on probation when nobody else would give me a chance. You know, and things are kind of funny because the game of change, which started and helped Loyola, came about because of a guy that put together a documentary that was awesome, The Game of Change. That's why 50 years later, we got the recognition that we did. And I credit Loyola for that because he gave, through me and my education, a chance for my son to do whatever he wanted to do. And he got into documentary and did The Game of Change. I mean, it all blends in together there. I'm going to just quickly go over because then I'm almost finished. Jack Egan. I want to thank Jack for skipping Iowa and Houston to play with us. Jack was 5'10" and didn't look good in the Iowa scrimmage. But Jack never showed what he had. You can't see what's in your heart, that drive and determination. Hot darn it, he was tough. Jack Egan. Chuck Wood, a great athlete over there. But we always joke about him guarding me in practice and making me an All-American. But Chuck Wood went on to be an athletic director of a school and made a lot of students All-Americans. Les Hunter. Les, when he played freshman ball for Loyola, he wasn't on the first team. And we looked, and Les looked and was worried about that, but he stuck in there. I'll never forget when he made the first team and he made the varsity, and we had such a good press that we would steal the ball and score before Les would even get down the court. Because the opposing team never got it across, so he never really got it. He used to run down, and we'd be putting the ball up after stealing it. Les Hunter. Les Hunter in the championship series, the Final Four, against Duke, he got something like 29 points and 17 rebounds, and he led us in scoring when we beat Cincinnati. Les Hunter was not named the most valuable player of the tournament when he should have been. So he didn't make it in the 6th grade. He struggled, of course. He even came and told his fellas, could I touch the ball just once or twice? Because we had that defense that he never got a chance to touch the ball. Finally, in the ABA championships and the pro team, Les got a chance to shine. I saw him coming on the court of an all-star game in pro basketball with Rick Barry, George Gervin, Dr. J, and here comes Les Hunter. He got the last word. He deserved all of those things, but Les Hunter was an all-star, not once, but twice in pro basketball. And finally, I want to thank my wife, Sarah, who's been with me for a number of years. I want to thank my grandkids for showing up, Kylie and Kara, who are just adorable. And I want to thank my players, and I got to get them to stand, because as I said, this was a team that you wouldn't believe. It's hard. Jack Egan, stand up. Yeah. Chuck Wood, stand up. Les Hunter, stand up. Try to stand up, Les. Try your best. And Mike Gavin, who started this thing with a win over Detroit. Please give them a hand. I want to thank the Missouri Valley. This is kind of beautiful. I didn't realize the diversity that they were involved in. And for us to come and be recognized, and I say us to be recognized, I really thank you. As this award comes to me because of all the people that I talked about, I want to thank them. And I want to thank the Missouri Valley. I appreciate you.
The legacy of that Rambler team lives on and hopefully will live on forever. One of the neat things, the 50-year commemoration, Mississippi State agreed to come back and play Loyola University Chicago in Chicago. The head coach of Mississippi State is a former Missouri Valley Conference veteran, Rick Ray, who was an African-American head coach at Mississippi State. That tells you the impact of what that Rambler team did, has done, and still does. Our next inductee is one of the very best in our sport and league history. A native of Random Lake, Wisconsin, Sue Daggett Miller is one of the most decorated female athletes in both Illinois State and Missouri Valley Conference history, claiming a league record 17 individual conference championships in 4 years. A 3-time All-American selection, 4-time indoor all-conference honoree, and a 4-time outdoor all-conference honoree, also named the Missouri Valley Conference Female Track Athlete of the Meet 3 times. In addition to her success on the track, she was also the 1994 Cross Country Coaches Association Academic All-American. And while being named a 3-time All-Valley Academic Cross Country selection, she was a 4-time Academic All-Conference Track and Field selection. Kurt Pegler's been busy. He's with WMBD, and he relates. Sue Daggett Miller, one of the most recognized and versatile track athletes in Valley history.
It would be hard to find a more decorated Missouri Valley track athlete than Illinois State's Sue Daggett Miller.
I think one of the unique things that Sue Daggett did was that she provided the groundwork for our distance runners to be able to think big.
She did more than just think big. Her performances were big. She claimed a league record 17 individual conference titles during her Redbird career.
She has cross-country championships, indoor track championships, outdoor track championships. She ran on grass. She ran on a 200-meter oval, a 300-meter oval, a 400-meter oval, and she won championships.
When she won 4 conference championships in 1 year, her senior year, Her over distance runs out on the country roads up and down the hills with just running flats on was actually a faster time than any of the other athletes in the conference for their all-out race on the track. Sue really ran her senior year Olympic trials time in the 10,000 meters.
It's why her Missouri Valley running resume still stacks up 20 years after she was a 3-time All-American.
And she had a range. She went, again, from cross country, but she went from 1,500 meters to 10,000 meters. I don't think today's athletes can do something like that.
Ladies and gentlemen, our next inductee, Sue Daggett Miller.
Wow, thank you for this incredible honor. You know, when I think about this, I realize we all have gifts, and it really matters what you do with that gift that makes all the difference in the world. You see, I grew up in a small town, southeastern Wisconsin in Random Lake, population 1,500. I'm sure all of you have heard of it, right? My upbringing probably was a little unique. At age 12, I was getting up at 4:30 a.m., helping assist with farm animals and going to school throughout the day, and then working back on the dairy farm at night. So I grew up as a farmer's daughter. But that really taught me, and I think set the stage in work ethic and dedication for me. So in middle school, all of the class had to run a 1-mile time trial, and I fortunately beat all the boys and girls in the class, and from there I was recruited from the high school coach and the high school athletes to join cross country, and I took that opportunity, and that led to my career in running, which was a fabulous career in high school. And then from there, Coach Coughlin recruited me at Illinois State. And of course, I took several other campus visits around the country. And Illinois State really felt like home for me. There was a certain aura about that place that makes it very, very special. You know, many people assume that, you know, you have success overnight, and you're constantly in the spotlight. But in sport, it truly doesn't go that way. You're spending countless hours in training and behind the scenes and strategy, and you're really working hard. It's not as glamorous behind the scenes, and the spotlight can become very fun, and the hard work is worth it. Sorry, I lost my place here on my chart. So when I think about success, you know, it really boils down to work, work, work. You know, of course it starts off with a talent, but then from that talent, I think what separates it is really, really working on your skill and refining your skill. You know, you work at your passion, you work at your sport, and the clock really doesn't go off when it's a passion. At least that's what it's meant for me. Coach Coughlin, he taught me many things. He also taught me that things will not always go right. That sometimes failure is a stepping stone to success. You know, you of course don't start off winning every single race, and you're always analyzing and, you know, reevaluating things. You can have talent, and it will fail you if you don't constantly work on your skill. You must believe in your abilities and your ideas. You must have faith. And you really have to want it. You have to really go out there and grab it and go for it. Those are some great things that he taught me through time. Staying focused on where you want to go. Surrounding yourself with like people. I just remember everywhere I went, I was surrounded with athletics at Illinois State and great people and the athletic staff. It was amazing. And then, of course, also having fun. I remember many times, too, Coach was saying this can be a lifetime thing for you. And I've now been running for 27 years, training for Boston Marathon this April. So it's been really an exciting journey. Everything I've been taught at ISU carries over into my professional and my personal life. I'm a vice president of a bank, so who knew I'd end up in banking? But again, it boils down to surrounding yourself with great people, being a role model for your kids and you're helping others, having a supportive network with my parents, my in-laws who are here, Norm and Linda Spearbrecker, friends, my family, my husband, Andrew Miller, my daughter, Amanda, and Blake sitting out there. I do hope to give back in sport, and I do have a plan to coach in the future. So you have to watch out, Missouri Valley Conference. You know, in life, you have one life, and I'm a big believer in that life, you should always be chasing your dreams. I also want to congratulate the fellow honorees, as it takes much time, effort, and commitment. And I'm honored to be here today. So thank you very much.
Congratulations, Sue. Our next inductee, and Jerry talking about this league and being a pioneer in diversity, Bradley was part of that as well, particularly in the 1950s, and also opened the door for the chance for African-American athletes. And everything of Bradley's history kind of came together with our next inductee. A native of Naperville, Illinois, Anthony Parker was the 1996 Missouri Valley Conference Player of the Year. He remains in the top 10 in Bradley history with nearly 1,700 career points. During his junior year, Parker averaged 19 points and 7 rebounds a game, helping the Braves to the Valley regular season championship and an at-large selection to the NCAA tournament. He went on to become a first-round pick for the New Jersey Nets in the 1997 NBA draft and played nearly 500 NBA games. Now, he was so good that Anthony also became known as, well, Candace became known as Anthony's sister. And not just, Anthony just wasn't Candace's brother. But anyways, Lee Hall of WEEK TV explains, Anthony Parker was a very special player, bringing the it factor to the floor throughout his basketball career.
They get it from above the rim. From the moment Anthony Parker stepped on the Bradley campus, he had it.
The first time I saw him practice as a freshman, he dominated the practice, and I knew right then and there there was something very special about him.
Parker contributed immediately as a Brave, averaging double figures as a freshman and a sophomore.
He was just a smooth player, great shot, great court sense, sweet passing. I mean, just really, really played the game well.
His junior year, AP put up 19 points a game to win the Valley Player of the Year award and lead the Braves to a Valley title and their first NCAA appearance since 1988.
34 points against Stanford in the NCAA tournament, 34, the Braves 58 that day, and he could not be stopped. And I had a lot of people asking me that day about him, scouts, different people covering the tournament, and I think that's where he kind of made his name to be selected in the first round the next year in the NBA draft.
Parker played in just 21 games as a senior, battling injuries. He finished 10th on Bradley's all-time scoring list, but likely would have been top 5 had he stayed healthy. A senior year highlight, this game winner against Southern Illinois, memorable for a couple of reasons.
Down by 2 with just a few seconds left, Anthony banks in a 40-footer at the buzzer to win it. And then, of course, he went over and high-fived Dave Snell and knocked WMBD off the air. So in a lot of ways, that was probably my favorite moment.
He not only knocked out the opponent, he knocked off the broadcast, too. He could do it all.
Parker was a first-round pick of the New Jersey Nets, but after 3 nondescript years in the NBA, Parker took his game abroad. He helped lead Maccabi Tel Aviv to back-to-back EuroLeague championships. He returned to the NBA in 2006, playing 3 seasons in Toronto, his final 3 seasons in Cleveland with LeBron James and the Cavaliers.
And the biggest thing about Anthony, he was confident enough to give himself up for the team and be unselfish because he knew when we won, he would get it all on the back end, which he did. He had a great pro career, Bradley Hall of Fame. So I think that was what made Anthony special.
Ladies and gentlemen, one of the greatest in Valley history, AP, Anthony Parker.
God is good. Just want to thank Doug Elgin and the Valley for this wonderful honor. Number one, I just want to say thanks for the compliments because my kids, they only know the old Anthony Parker. They didn't get to see the young, a little more lively Anthony Parker. So thanks for that. But no, as I come here and listen to the other inductees and their stories, and just so honored to be a part of it. Mr. Harkness, as I become more familiar with his story and what he meant to what our game, what our sport looks like now, it's a humbling experience, and kind of what I'm here for seems kind of small in comparison. So thank you for that. As you listen to all the stories, everybody knows how important everybody is, that I'm not here by myself. Like, everybody's had an impact on my story, my path, and my journey, and it's too many to think, or too many to spend the time to think. But I want to try to start, number one, with my coach Molinari, who believed in me. And so, I was a skinny little freshman from Naperville Central, and he saw something in me before most did, and he took a chance on me and him and his staff. My teammates, who we had a lot of good moments on the court, but our best ones were spent off the court that can't share a lot of the stories, but it was it was a lot of fun, and we remind each other every time we see each other. So my teammates, and the one of the support we had at Bradley. Everywhere I go, I'll see a Bradley sweatshirt, or somebody will come up and say they went to Bradley, and it's a close knit community, and they always give me a lot of love whenever I see them. So very thankful for that. Anybody who knows me knows how much my family means to me. Like I said, I have my 2 boys there, my wife, who's been with me from the beginning, through the whole process, the whole career. And so, I'm really thankful for her, because she's given up a lot, to allow me to do what I do and what I love. And so, my parents, my brother, my sister, we talked about me being, Candace being my sister. That's not been true for a long time. I'm not afraid to admit it. I'm her brother. It's plain. But I'm very proud of her. My other brother, Marcus, and both my parents, my dad. I started out playing the game just little kid trying to be like his dad. And slowly the game turned into a vehicle that has allowed me to experience things that I never thought I'd be able to do, live in other parts of the world, create and establish relationships with people around the world. And, that's really what it's all about. And so I appreciate the opportunity. Thank you. I'm so humbled to be a part of this year's class, and thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Congratulations, AP. And our final inductee, and Sue talked about chasing dreams, but when you chase your dream and you leave an impact so positively on so many lives, It is a terrific career and a terrific life, and that represents our final inductee. Dr. Harold Bardo of Southern Illinois University is receiving the very prestigious Paul Morrison Award. It is presented to honor those individuals who have made significant contributions to their respective league member institutions, the league, or collegiate athletics in general. Dr. Bardo has done all three. A native of Sparta, Illinois, Dr. Bardo retired in 2014 as the faculty athletics representative at SIU after 17 years of service. He became an instructor at SIU in educational psychology in 1968. He joined the School of Medicine faculty in 1985 and became director of the School of Medicine's Medical Dental Education Preparatory Program. A life member of Southern Illinois University's Alumni Association, Bardo was honored for his decades of service through the establishment of the Harold Bardo Medical Student Scholarship Endowment. He received the university's Lindell W. Sturgis Memorial Public Service Award in 2014. Sister Jean, I know there's a verse in Daniel that talks about the Lord gives wisdom to wise men and knowledge to men of understanding. This is a wise man and a man of understanding. As the voice of the Salukis, Mike Reese, relates, Harold is one of the most loved and respected figures, not only in Southern Illinois University athletics, but in Valley athletics, and has contributed so much to his alma mater in so many ways.
Harold Bardo and Southern Illinois University have been synonymous since the day he arrived at SIU in 1957. The Sparta, Illinois native received a scholarship to play basketball and run track at Southern, and he has not looked back since. In the close to 60 years since Bardo made the 50-mile drive from Sparta to Carbondale, he's made an immeasurable contribution to the student athletes, staff, and SIU community.
I've been fortunate to be a part of a lot of institutions throughout my coaching career. There is no question in my mind that in each one of those institutions there has always been that one person, the pillar of the community, the pillar of the institution, and the pillar of the athletic department. Dr. Harold Bardo is that person at Southern Illinois University.
Well, I think first and foremost is that Dr. Bardo brings so much to the university side. His service and what he's done academically for all of our students for all the years. First him being a graduate himself, and then all the leadership positions that he's filled. He's got a list is longer than both my arms together on his accomplishments and what his service to the institution.
Dr. Bardo is one of those people who routinely connects with our student athletes. He's always concerned about what's best for them, helping them do well academically, worried about them if they're injured, wanting to make sure that they're good citizens and that they represent the Saluki family in a positive light.
Bardo's character, his love for SIU, his mentorship of its student athletes, and his willingness to help anyone at any time are what has made him such an important and beloved figure at both Southern and the Missouri Valley Conference.
He's always willing to help and serve everyone, and and he's just a go-to person. He's just, if I need that phone call, I can pick it up and say, hey, you got a minute or two, and he's always got time for me and for everybody, and so he's a pretty special person to me.
Well, being a 3-degree graduate from SIU and having served such a long and distinguished career both at the university and in the conference, he's just it. I don't know how you could exemplify being a positive influence both on the institution and on the conference any more than what his service has done.
He's a man with a presence. He's influential. He's a leader. In short, he's a success.
His servant leadership is evident in how he lives his life day in and day out, and that never changes. And I just think there's no finer gentleman to walk in the face of the planet than Dr. Bardo to receive the Morrison Award.
We can't even begin to thank you for all the things you've meant, not only to our university, but for the countless numbers of student athletes that have walked through these doors and left with a diploma and a degree that will last them for the rest of their lives.
Just 1 month after being inducted into SIU's Athletics Hall of Fame, Dr. Harold Bardot can add one more accolade to a long list of accolades, the Paul Morrison Award.
Ladies and gentlemen, a true pillar and a great man, Dr. Harold Bardot.
Congratulations on your most recent honor in receiving the Paul Morrison Award from the Missouri Valley Conference. Was so proud to be recognized early on and was humbled when the Valley renamed it the Paul Morrison Award. I'm still in the office 4 days a week, don't go in on Fridays anymore unless we have a game, and believe it or not, we have games this Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Miss traveling and seeing many old friends like you and Fred Huff. So I wrote Paul and told him I was going to receive the award. This was a letter that he wrote back to me. So if Renee or Sandy are in here, please give him my regards when you see him. I was told that Paul will be 99 in August of this year. So that's just wonderful, and I know he's an amazing guy. I'd like to add my congratulations to all the inductees here. You've heard about their accomplishments and their feats, and so you know that they are richly deserved. As a child growing up in Sparta, Illinois, which is only about 50 miles from here, by the way, I could have hardly imagined a day like this or a month like I've been through recently. My father and my wife, Lana's family, were coal miners, and that was a dirty, dangerous, an unpredictable job. Yet he got up every day and went to the mines. He got up before the sun came up and went to the mines. He came home with coal dust all over him. And when the mines closed, he had to find odd jobs to put food on our table and a roof over our head. But he did it nonetheless. And so when people say, when I hear coaches say survive and advance, I know firsthand what survive and advance means. I need to thank also my elementary school teachers. There were only 4 of them. We had, Lana and I, went to an all-black elementary school, 4 rooms, 1 teacher for 2 grades. Teacher taught the 1st grade for a while and then taught the 2nd grade for a while. But I got the best education for future learning at that place than I've ever received anywhere. They taught us with care, compassion, concern, and they taught us to compete academically when we left that place, but to compete without pity or remorse for our own situations, because they knew that we could do well if we put our minds to it. I'd also like to thank the Valley, Doug. I value your and Patty's friendship. You've treated me like one of you from the very first day I met you. And I've met many people in this room as a result of our affiliation with the Valley over all these years. Mitch extolled your virtues, so I'm not going to do that again. But I can tell you that I served on a number of NCAA committees and been to a number of conventions, met a number of people around the country, and our conference, the Missouri Valley Conference, is highly regarded among all those people. And Doug and Patty do it without the resources of the Power 5 conferences, and they do it in the face of these odds that they're facing now with the Power 5 conferences trying to grab everything for themselves. So we're in good hands with our leadership in this conference, and I really appreciate that. I went to Carbondale in 1957 on a basketball scholarship. Obviously, we didn't have a college fund. My dad didn't have any money to set aside for me to go to school. And fortunately, Coach Holder, my first basketball coach, gave me a basketball scholarship. I don't think he ever saw me play, and I was only 50 miles from Carbondale in Sparta. I don't think he ever saw me play. And I'm very pleased he probably didn't see me play, because I may not have gotten a scholarship had he saw me play. But I need to tell you, the university has been extraordinarily good to me. I owe everything I have in this life to that place. The university allowed me to do many things. It provided me many opportunities to work and serve at that university. And I need to tell you, President Dunn, that that place has my heart. And I would do anything I could to help that place. And finally, I need to thank my wife, Lana, has been with me all this time, and members of our family. We have 3 children. Craig is our oldest son. He's not here. And Helen is my daughter, and she would be really upset if I didn't mention the fact that she is my daughter. And then my son Stephen is here, and my nephew Anthony Lusk is here as well. My children were fortunate in that they got scholarships to go to school. Had they not, I would have been able to help them, unlike my father. We didn't have a college fund set aside for our youngsters either, but fortunately they got scholarships. And Stephen and Craig got scholarships at schools that were really good at the time they got the scholarships, unlike what his school is like now. But be that as it may, I am thankful for all the people that came to this meeting from Carbondale. Thank all of you. Many of you are my friends. Many of you I've known ever since I've been in Carbondale, and I genuinely appreciate your support. I am deeply humbled and honored by this award, and I'd like to accept this award on behalf of my wife and Southern Illinois University. So thank you very much.
Ladies and gentlemen, let's give another round of applause to an incredible 2016 Hall of Fame class. Do have some logistical messages here. First of all, we need the Hall of Fame inductees to come forward for pictures, and that gives you an opportunity as well, not only for our formal pictures to be taken, for you to take personal pictures. And then we begin our 4 games today at noon. However, to attend the afternoon session of the tournament, you need to depart Peabody Opera House. Don't sneak through the back doors here like I'm going to do. And enter Scott Trade Center with your game tickets. So please note that. Again, this league is amazing. There is a past that needs to be preserved. There is a present time, as Dr. Bardo mentioned, that requires perseverance, but there's also a future that needs to be protected. There are Hall of Fame posters to serve as souvenirs for all of you that are available, Carla said, out in the foyer. Thank you for your attendance. Let's have great games. And again, congratulations to all of the inductees, and God bless you. Thanks.